Hey friends, welcome back. This is another Health Institute special, and we are coming live from the kitchen. So you know it's going to be good because we're getting into the tangibles of your life. We're not just talking about the concepts, we're actually putting it into practice. This is my favorite place to be. This is where I normally am for hours of the day, so I feel the most comfortable. And I have Dr. Motley with me, so it's always going to be fun when the two of us get together and
we talk about detox. We're talking about morning detox rituals, because if you're like me, sometimes when you watch somebody else and you see that they have some health knowledge, you're always like, I wonder what they do during their day. Like, do you ever do that? Go to the grocery store or go to a restaurant and you always like look at somebody, what they're eating or what they have in their basket. That's what we're going to try to do with our detox morning ritual. So
yeah, I'm actually wondering what your morning detox ritual is, because we've compiled the things that we're going to talk about, but I don't know your full specific one. So we're going to find out together.
Yes.
It'll be fun.
It's going to be fun times. We're starting off with you though today. So
okay, don't show me up when we get to you. That's
all right.
That's all I'm going to say.
It's always a competition.
But you know what? Here's the thing. So one thing that I have learned over the years is that your health regimen will evolve. And it should evolve because you're evolving as a person and you're going into different seasons of life, and your body will always have different needs and demands in those seasons. So what's really fun is learning your body through these processes, because this shouldn't be something that's super rigid, shouldn't be something that stays the same forever. So what works for me, what works for you, you may find things that really resonate with you and pull those and utilize them, and then check in with yourself and see, like, do I enjoy this? Do I feel better? But if not, that's okay. There are so many different ways to go about helping your body, supporting your body's detoxification processes. So we're going to go over what some of those variations look like today. So as they say in yoga, take what you need and leave the rest. I always loved that part.
Yes, that's a good one. Take what you need and leave the rest.
Yeah. So
that's a good mantra. Yes.
Yeah. So there's a lot here. Don't get overwhelmed. We're going to go through a lot of different things that I think are going to serve you at different times. Maybe not all together. I would not recommend doing all of these at one time.
No, I think that's what most people are thinking, like, you guys do that every single morning.
This is not an everyday, but you will find most of these things in my home and probably in yours too. And we cycle through when we feel like we need it. We're going to talk about what the application is for some of these different ones. So okay, let's go.
Let's set the scene up.
Let's set it up.
Okay.
Let's set it up.
It's early morning. Okay.
It is early. I am an early morning person.
Kids are about to get up to go to school, or when they were in school. And so you get up and the people are saying, what is like one of the first things, like when you get up, like you think, am I going to get a glass of water? Am I going to do this? What is your first steps?
Okay. This is a great place to start. So first thing, I'll tell you, don't look at your phone. If you set your alarm on your phone, I'm just going to put that out there. And I know that I am the last person that should say this because I'm the most guilty of doing it. But try your hardest, like turn your alarm off if it's on your phone and then leave it plugged in or wherever it is, and then start your morning routine, because you can get down the rabbit hole of going to the bathroom and like scrolling your phone and the blue light and all of this stuff. So I'm just going to put that out there as a tip / reminder, because I need it for myself and I figured maybe that will serve you as well. So first things first, the tongue scraper.
Tongue scraper. Okay.
Now, this isn't Ayurvedic, right? This is
it's an Ayurvedic practice, yes.
Yes. Okay. So I wanted to make sure I didn't mess that up. But I love tongue scraping. So it's very simple. It only takes a couple seconds, and you can order these online. They're very inexpensive. You can get copper ones. They have different variations. Not really sure what the copper, if there's like a specific mechanism of action there with the copper and things, but I have seen those. So
I've tried them before. I mean, they say there's some kind of ion exchange between copper. Yeah. And like, that's why they say wear it on your joints with a magnetic copper. But
that would make sense.
They say it can exchange toxins really well. But yeah, like Ayurvedic with tongue scraping, like, is there a particular amount, seriously, of scraping that you do? Like, is there a number that you like to do? Because people...
I've never counted. That's an interesting thing. But I did hear another doctor, and he was talking about his practice doing it. And so he usually goes like straight down, so stick your tongue out and you're going to go back and you're going to pull it straight forward and then doing the sides of your tongue. I usually go over them a couple of times and I rinse it out. You'll be amazed at like the stuff that comes off of your tongue, because you think about it. And honestly, we really shouldn't be mouth breathers at night. Like, that's a big thing with bacteria and really the oral microbiome. We've talked about this on other podcasts and things like that. But you'll be amazed at how much bacteria gets into the gums in your mouth. And then think about it. You start swallowing that. Where is it going? Like, now that stuff is just going right back into your body. So it begins to have this compounding effect where now your oral microbiome is now being swallowed, and you're reseeding infections that potentially have been there. And so I found this to be, it's super easy. This is an extremely inexpensive tool. And once you just have it by your toothbrush, it's a no-brainer. So order yourself a tongue scraper.
I was with tongue scraping too. Like we had a podcast with a biological dentist who did pediatrics, and she said that the amount of staph and certain forms of even pediatric strep and staph that are found in the mouth, they did autopsies and they found that people that had like brain and neurological disorders, when they did the autopsies, found a lot of the pediatric type bacteria in the brain. Remember they did, and they said, and the reason being is because with our food sources, we eat sugars or starches or carbs, builds up in the mouth because we have a ton of strep and staph and yeast in the mouth. And it's a normal part of your life. But if you have that coating on the tongue, the Ayurvedic medicine, they say, no, you don't want those microbes, if they're in excess, to keep releasing the toxins because you can get it into the bloodstream around the jaw. So that is heavily important. So I thought, like with tongue scraping, I've also heard that when you wake up in the morning that when people drink water right off the bat, it's better to do a tongue scraping before you drink water because they don't want. Yeah, I've heard of that. Is that right?
I just actually kind of think personally, I just am like, I feel like I need to clean my mouth and before I'm like drinking water because I do feel like, you've gone all night and things are stagnant, like and plus like it stimulates blood flow in the mouth, which is going to be helpful in getting the lymphatic drainage and everything else, moving toxins out of the body. So I always opt for the tongue scraping followed by teeth brushing and that whole regimen.
Well, one thing I want to ask though too is toothbrush, like toothpaste. Do you like a certain brand or certain type?
So I really am a fan of Dental Sidon, which is made by a company called Biocidin, and I've used a lot of their products in the past with clients and still use them to this day, but they're very antimicrobial. So it's basically the same formulation as the Biocidin liquid or oral tincture, and so it's got wormwood and just a number of different herbs that are antimicrobial in nature, but they're more selective, so you're not wiping things out. But it's very you're not bringing in some chemicals that are now being absorbed into the bloodstream and causing more toxic problems for your body. So make sure you're using a good clean toothpaste. And there's a number. Risewell is another one that I can't remember who we talked to recently that. Yeah,
there's another one that the biological dentist referred. There's another one called Pearl. Pearl is a new company that's started by Tom Lokensgaard.
Okay.
And they're very big about using different types of essential oils that are in a gentle format because if they have too harsh of an essential oil, it could strip some of the bacteria out of the mouth. But just like Courtney said, you want a toothbrush or toothpaste. They said not to foam up. She said you don't want that actually has too much foam. If it foams up in the mouth, it actually could be pulling out too much good bacteria out of the mouth. So I'm trying the Pearl. I got that. It just feels weird though when I do a toothpaste and it doesn't lather up, or it's kind of different. Yeah. You don't feel like you're getting the good job done, but still. Yeah. So we have with the toothpaste.
That is good.
Okay, and set aside from the handstand she does right beside the refrigerator in the morning.
That's a whole other thing.
So with oral health and such, but what is the next steps? Do you have any type of juices or any type of anything like that you take as supplement wise?
So I also like to do a little bit of red light in the morning if I can. And that's usually just like a few minutes because I find that if I don't have 5 minutes before I'm off to the races, it's just my nervous system is really positioned to be in somewhat of a very heightened state. So I tend to be more ramped up in general. So I have to kind of work hard to keep myself a little bit more at a normal level. So
whenever you get the sympathetics out of the way, like if you increase your relaxation with the red light, I know some individuals will take a red light, like we have BioLight and there's Therasage, and they'll take the panels. I know some people that will literally have the red light flashing through if they have a glass at their shower and they just flash red light.
That's actually really good.
Because it does make your mitochondria produce more energy. But does it really calm you down? So you do it for how long? 5 minutes?
Well, so I use it as my timer. So I actually put it on for 15 minutes and I try to do it for 15 minutes. But that's usually when I'll do morning Bible study, Bible reading, journaling, something like that. Just where I can actually just sit still because it is busy for most people. It's like you're up and off to the races, and it's like, okay, take the supplements, do the water, get the kids lunches, it's just so many different things. And you don't even realize that cortisol response, that cortisol awakening response, like you just shoot so far high. And then we wonder why we have problems come 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon where we're hitting a wall and our blood sugar is a disaster and we feel terrible and we're craving things. And it's because we really came out of the gate so strong. We didn't really take any time to set ourselves up so we could really build that healthy curve where we're building energy in the body and then tapering off and getting into the evening hours where we can allow melatonin to surge. So I do have to put a little bit of buffers in because I know that's my nature. So if you're somebody and you're like, well, I don't have time, and this, like, work with who you are. Like that was such good advice to me because I have listened to so many different people, and I always think like, okay, well then they figured that part out and that's what I was missing, so I need to do it. Like there may be some component of that was relevant to me, but not everything is. And it's the same for you. So work with where you are right now and really try to figure out like, what is it that makes me feel like I'm at my best? Because if it's something that's so forced and you're miserable doing it, maybe after a month, if it doesn't get any easier or better, then it's just not the right practice for you. And that's okay. That's totally okay. So anyway, that was kind of a tangent, but
no, it's great.
Moving into the kitchen space, once I kind of do all of that morning stuff, and I'll speed it up so I don't lose you guys, but here's a couple of things. Water and hydration and minerals always, because you just came off of a fast. You just came off of your body doing all of this detoxification work, your brain really wringing itself out. And there's so much that your body does while you're sleeping, right? So the first thing you need to do, hydrate your cells. And you need to start moving some of this toxicity out of the body. The way we do that is we hydrate. But if you're just drinking tap water, that water's not really getting into your cells. It doesn't have what it needs. It doesn't have the right minerals. And a lot of times it has additional toxins like chlorine and fluoride and all these things that actually start to hijack, and it actually dehydrates your cells even more, contributing to a higher toxic burden. So filtered water, I love distilled. If you have, whole house distillers can be a whole thing. Reverse osmosis can be great, but make sure you're remineralizing your water if you're getting distilled or you're doing RO. So filtered water, room temperature is great. Cold water, we know that doesn't really work well with the body being warm. And you could speak to that from...
Yeah, there is a lot of discrepancies about different types of temperatures for water and like how much mineral sources that can be in there. So it is like by individuality, like because there's times when somebody will say, shouldn't you have water that's all Kangen water or pH that's high in basic alkalinity? But there's some people that really don't need alkaline water, and there's some people that do need it. So really, I always tell myself this: whenever I get up in the morning, drink a cup of water, my go-tos and my tells are my eyes. If I get a good glass of water, my eyes do not dry on the inside. Like when I wake up in the morning, the inside of my eyes are dry. If I get a good glass of water and my eyes actually feel hydrated, like they feel that I'm good. If I drink any form of water, I don't care if it's purified or not, and my eyes still feel dry, I'm like, my body's not absorbing it. So you always have to find your tells. That's me. Like
that is really interesting though.
Some people have itch. Like I can't tell you how many times like patients would come in, they have itching ears. I know, unusual. And they would drink water like, oh, my ears don't itch. And I found out, I'm like, maybe the hydration is getting up into the sinus cavities well, but you have to find your tell. That's how I would do it.
Yeah, that's really good. That's actually great advice. So filtered water. I always think just like try and get pure water, because the last thing you want is to be doing something. Tap water is bad everywhere. So there's really not a place that's immune to that. You can look up on EWG, you can pull up your zip code, you can really find out what contaminants you're looking at, but there are all kinds of heavy metals and there's pharmaceuticals and all kinds of things. So you really don't want to flush your body with toxins in the morning. That's the way I think about it. Like
toxins in, toxins out. Just
right. Like whether it's cool water, hot water, warm water, whatever it is, just make sure it's clean water. Bottom line, that's like the most important thing. And then the other thing that I love to do is add lemon. So this actually, what I love about the lemon is that this helps stimulate bile and the gallbladder and liver detoxification. Plus it's high in antioxidants. So antioxidants are what's going to help your body neutralize all the oxidative stress in your body. So all these things that your body's trying to work out, it's really going to help flush, move through the liver, that phase 1, phase 2 detoxification, and really build that antioxidant load. So if you don't have fresh lemon, you could squeeze, you could do like lemon squeezer, you do that in your lemon. We can demonstrate this. So, all right, why don't we
do this?
I know, you've been waiting to do that. So
okay.
let's just let your heart just enjoy that one. So, okay. So lemon, you can either do one of the handheld squeezers. This one reminds me of the one my grandma had. Like, I actually really love it. It even has like the little citrus things on the side.
Oh, I mean, that actually works really well. I know. I just haven't used these.
All right. So if you don't have fresh lemon, you can get lemon juice. Just make sure that you're getting something that's not from concentrate like this one. I would still try to get an organic one if possible. And you could do a splash of this. Or if you have a really good high quality lemon oil, you can do a drop of lemon oil. This I find to be super effective when I travel because I can take this with me and it's no problem. I can throw it in my bag. It's easy. And I still get that lemon juice when I'm traveling. It's not as easy maybe to find lemons if you're staying in a hotel or to have something like this when you're traveling. So keep that as a little hack because this will also help you, at least for me, it actually kind of gives the water some flavor in a natural way. So I'm more prone to drinking water when I'm traveling, which a lot of times we get dehydrated. Things like that. We're just not drinking as much. So that smells really good.
It does.
Doesn't it smell? It smells so fresh.
The first time I ever talked about lemon juice to actually help your stomach when you wake up in the morning, I had this lady, she was an herbalist out in the middle of Kansas. And I went out and observed this lady. She's probably 92 years old and she was still going strong. And she used to tell everybody would try to get all these herbs for their gallbladder. She says, no, just do a half lemon every morning, squeeze it. And she said, sip on it the rest of the day. Don't drink it because it loosens up your bile so well. And so she'd have people that have huge gallstones that start to loosen them up and clean them up just by doing lemon juice. So, yeah. But I never knew about, all years, guys, the lemon oil, right? I don't know what in my brain thought, you just use it for, rubbing on your skin or doing diffusers. Yeah. And I was at a conference and one of my friends had some lemon juice. She had tea and stuff and she started putting in her tea. And I was like, wait, what are you doing? And she goes, it's lemon. I was like, oh, so definitely power in a bottle.
Yeah, it's great. And just make sure that you're using a high quality oil because not all oils are made the same. And if you're buying one that's, at Home Goods, that's we know Home Goods sells everything, but I would not be buying your oils that you're ingesting from them because a lot of times there's a lot of oils out there that are synthetic or have synthetic components to them. And then that would be more disastrous for your health. So make sure that you know where you're buying your oils from if you are ingesting them specifically. So that's just a little tip there. Okay. So the lemon juice.
Lemon juice. We had the water. You got this. You got the gallbladder and the liver cleaned out.
Yep. The other thing I like to do is add some sea salt. So this is great for adding, again, like I said, some minerals. So this is what minerals really help the body. We call them the spark plugs of the body. And so they help facilitate your cells grabbing onto that hydration. They actually are kind of like the lock and key, so to speak. So if you just had plain distilled water, it's really hard to hydrate your cells without having the minerals that kind of enact and engage with the cell to get the water to them. So to get the water to do what we need it to do, we need to have minerals. And a lot of us are mineral deficient, especially if you are a very stressed person. I was telling our team earlier, I was just salting away. I just had my salad and I was just cranking. I was like, I'm a heavy salter because our adrenal glands they depend on sodium, right? And so this is something that, again, I think people underdo it.
I think we went through 3 bottles since you've been here.
I normally travel with my own salt, but I didn't have it this time, but I knew that I was going to be in a place where it would be provided. So I was good.
This is so with salt though, I didn't realize this, but a long while back, but I was doing research about when you get out of stress. And so if you look at your the saline and your hemoglobin, basically your blood has a lot of sodium in it. And the reason that the blood actually can conduct electrical signals literally is because of the amount of salt. So when you feel tired and sluggish, it increases the electrical activity of your blood. So that's why you crave it. That's why people want salty chips or if the adrenals are low. So whenever you have the craving, I always say adrenals are low.
Yeah.
Anytime you want more salt, if you want salty chips or fries, it's your adrenals. So
yeah, get one of those salt basins. I actually have one that I love, and I do a really thick, wet sea salt, which is very interesting because you think salt would dry things out, but if you get a good Celtic sea salt, like a gray salt, it's actually take that moisture. But I actually would just put my finger in it, and then I'll just take a finger and just lick it right off. And it's amazing. I'll do it.
So the Celtic sea salt, that's one that can keep them.
Yep, the Celtic gray sea salt. And the people that started that company, they have a ton of educational resources on the different types of salt because there's differences between Himalayan salt and sea salt and Celtic salt. We could do a whole salt episode.
I would love that. That's
I went on a whole rabbit trail one time with salt, so maybe we'll do that one in the future. But just as something to consider, that's something that is there. One other thing I'll mention before I pass over the reins is that if you plan on doing or upregulating a little bit of some detoxification, meaning if you know that you've had an exposure to something. So say you've been out in the yard and you feel like maybe they've sprayed with some chemicals and you've got a headache, or you've been traveling, you've been in an airplane, and so you've been exposed to flame retardants and all these things. And so you're like, I can just tell I'm puffy, I'm brain fog, I've got more toxins, I can feel it. Then it might be a good idea when you start your day the next day on an empty stomach to add some binders in, because this is going to help be kind of like a sponge that's going to soak up all that extra toxicity. When you do it first thing in the morning, you're drinking a lot of water, so you're soaking it up and you're flushing it out, and you don't have digestive things going on in your gut, and so you don't have to worry about really compromising that. It's like your body can go straight into just let's mop up the mess and get it out of the body as quickly and safely as possible. So some of the things I love to do that, Toxumi is great. This is an incredible binder. It's bamboo, right?
Yep, it's blackened bamboo. They just basically burn it.
Powder, yeah.
It's a powder.
Yeah,
really
this is really good. I always start with like 1 scoop. I mean, if you're not used to using this stuff, do not go out of the gate super strong. You'll push detox too hard and you'll start having all kinds of worse reactions. I know, that stuff is great. And then, the other kind of way you could do it that's super easy, that's magnesium. This is charcoal. So charcoal is like super affordable and it's very accessible. You could go to pretty much any grocery store and find charcoal. So this is something you would have to order, but this will give you, this isn't going to have as much of a systemic effect in terms of pulling toxins other places, but it's going to sweep out the stuff that's in the gut. So that's really something, especially if you've maybe had a meal. So if you have food poisoning, or say you've just eaten out and you're like, that did not settle well. Like, I don't feel all that great the next day. I'm feeling kind of sluggish, kind of bloated. Charcoal is your best friend because it is the binder for the gut.
Yes.
And so it will soak everything up. Just make sure you're drinking and you're hydrating plenty when you do that.
If you do too much charcoal and you don't do enough hydration, if you pull out a lot of toxicities, people can get a little constipated.
Yep.
So if you start taking any of these, you start to get a little constipated, you need to back up half of your dosage, even half a scoop. So that's what happens. You bind, it literally chelates and pulls them down like a hard rock. So I hope that this has shown you how the lovely Courtney starts her morning off, because I'm telling you, she's radiant. People want to know how radiant people wake up. Anyway, thank you for showing us.
I'll take that. Listen, it's a journey here. I'm starting to get it dialed in.
Well, we're going to show you how to detox even more as the time comes on.